Welcome back, guys, to Let's Read Danganronpa If. And in the last episode, Mukuro and Junko, just Junko, cut all ties with Mukuro because she's a disappointment, apparently. But Mukuro has made the resolve to cause her sister the best despair, make her happy, and save everybody. So this is going to be interesting. Let's continue. Over the 10 minutes had passed. The sound of the students leaving the gym and making their way to the nurse's office rang through the hall. Josai Jacket continued to dodge Sakura's attacks with their tricky movements, but Byakuya blurted, "Enough already, you irritating pervert." Josai Jao stalked in her track.
Oh my. Getting chewed out by my bespectacled Byakuya is making my masochistic side all tingly. They say the lines between sadism and masochism is a paper-thin line, but in my case, it's more like a Venn diagram. Words can't explain these hot waves of passion squirting from the top of my head to the tips of my toes.
She rambled incoherently about Byakuya, and the other students tied her up with a microphone cable from the gym and locked her in the room. Oh gosh. Half the students stayed behind to keep an eye on her, while the rest left to search the grounds of the school. As soon as the door to the nurse's office opened, Kyoko saw a non-functioning Monokuma with a hole in its chest and the remains of a surveillance camera. It wasn't just in the nurse's office, though. On their way there, the students had seen several destroyed surveillance cameras and scattered Monokuma bodies. This was a clear violation of school regulations, but if Mukuro was allied with Monokuma, those regulations wouldn't apply to her anyways. The Monokuma inside the gym was no longer moving, and the students had lost contact with the hacker, Bishiki Madurai. So the students assumed that Madurai had taken control of a different Monokuma and went after Mukuro on his own. With that in mind, Kyoko turned and looked inside the nurse's office once again. It was unusually quiet, the beds were empty, but Kyoko could see the blood stains as someone had been resting there recently. Looks like they're already gone, Mondo remarked, but he was about to leave. Kyoko spoke up to him. I'm gonna stay here with Chihiro and search for clues.
Huh?
Chihiro, her timid eyes wide.
Clues?
Kyoko continued to speak in a calm tone of voice. Yes, there may be clues in these Monokuma remains. I figured you'd be the best candidate for investigating machinery. Sakura spoke up. But isn't that dangerous? Since Sakura could clearly hold her own in a fight with Mukuro, she had joined the search she joined the other students in searching the school grounds. Kyoko shook her head and replied, I'm sorry to say this, but if things get out of hand, Chihiro and I will just be in your way. I think it's better if we search for clues in here instead of doing nothing. Besides, we might be able to use Monokuma's parts to detect any radio broadcasts from the outside world. You clearly have a point. Understood. We'll explore this floor for a while. Please shout if anything happens. Sakura left the nurse's office. How'd she destroy Monokuma like this? As Chihiro cautiously stood over Monokuma's remains, Kyoko started searching the room. She zeroed in on one of the beds and began studying it intensely. A moment later, Kyoko was satisfied with what she found and let out a small sigh before she spoke. Chihiro, please let me apologize to you in advance.
Huh?
I dragged you into this gamble of mine, so if anything happens, run out into the hall and call for help.
What does that mean?
But instead of answering Chihiro's question, Kyoko started talking to one of the empty beds. Let me say this first. I'm preparing to hear your story. No matter how ridiculous it may sound, I promise not to decide if it's a lie or the truth until after I've listened to it in entirety. Chihiro looked confused. She didn't understand what Kyoko meant. This meant, who knows, lowered her eyes and turned to the ultimate program to make a request. Chihiro, does your laptop have a voice recording function? And do you have a microphone?
Huh? Yeah.
I want you to use that to record everything we're about to hear. But there's
no one here.
As Chihiro wondered to herself, she began to connect Monokuma's parts to her laptop and turned on the record function.
I'm sure we'll pick up every sound in this room now,
Chihiro said nervously. Satisfied, Kyoko nodded once again and started talking to the empty bed. So what were you going to do if I told everyone I'd found Makoto? When she heard Kyoko say that, Chihiro looked back at her and was surprised by what she saw. At that moment, the ultimate programmer was kneeling in front of the floor next to Monokuma's remains. From that position, she was able to see it. Of all the beds in the nurse's office, there was one bed in particular that couldn't have been seen from the entrance. Underneath the bed lay a limp Makoto. A blood pack was hidden next to the bed, slowly providing Makoto a transfusion. The contents of the blood packet were clear. Rather than blood, it seemed to be some kind of saline solution used in emergency hydration. Though it wouldn't be as effective as an actual blood transfusion, it was enough to keep him from going into shock. Though that was the extent of Chihiro's medical knowledge. She was already surprised that Makoto had been in the nurse's office this whole time. Not only that, but Kyoko wasn't talking to the bed that Makoto was under, which sent chills through Chihiro's spine. However, there was nobody under the bed that Kyoko was facing. But the moment Chihiro noticed that, a voice rang out from underneath it. As soon as everyone else's attention was focused on Makoto, I was planning to take advantage of that opportunity and take someone hostage. As Chihiro cautiously lowered her head, it was nearly touching the floor. She was able to make out who was talking. Surprising, the person hidden under there was clinging to the frame of the bed, like a ninja clinging to the ceiling. Presumably, if someone had glanced under the bed quickly, they wouldn't have noticed anybody was there. Though Chihiro had an idea of how the person was able to hide under the bed for so long, she could at least understand what the strength was beyond normal human levels. There was no question the person hiding under the bed was Makoto Ikusaba. But you pretend not to notice. Why? Makoto's voice was as cold as ice, but Kyoko didn't even flinch as she responded. Because I wanted to hear your side of the story. I knew you were hiding under the bed. Compared to the others, the frame was slightly more pronounced. Chihiro tried comparing the beds to see if there was any truth. This was true. She couldn't tell the difference at all. Okay, Kyoko's natural observation skills could let her see something like that. Oh, okay, only. Sorry, that was weird. Makoto seemed to come to a similar conclusion and appeared from under the bed without making a sound. Her face was stoic and cold. Compared to the bomb inside Monokuma, Chihiro thought she was even more terrifying. However, Makoto ignored Chihiro and shifted her gaze at Kyoko. She leaned against the wall and let her arms fall at her sides as she threw out another question. Why do you want to hear what I have to say? Kyoko was thought about the simple question for a while, as if she were searching within her own heart for the answer. If I have to provide an answer, it's because I wish to remain neutral. Kyoko quietly looked down. Bug. I am currently missing most of my memories. I don't know who I am, or what talent I had to be accepted into this school. She could hear Chihiro gasp behind her, but Kyoko didn't mind and continued. But even so, I believe I should listen to what you have to say. By the way, if you hear any loud noises in the background right now, I have to open my door because there's no ventilation in my room whatsoever. I'm dying of hotness, and my parents will not turn the air conditioning on. So if you hear any banging pots or anything, my parents are being obnoxious in the kitchen. But even so, I believe I should listen to what you have to say. Regardless of whether you're good or evil, I must hear all the facts in order to know the truth. Good and evil don't matter. I'll come to a conclusion based on what I see and hear. I think that's the methodology that has been instilled into me. I see. I completely forgot you were like that, Kyoko. But before I listen to what you have to say, I don't know why they yell. I don't know why they yell. I don't know why they're loud. I don't know why. But before I listen to what I have to say, I'd like to ask you one question first. What is it? Makoto's reply was completely emotionless. Kyoko presented herself with the question as if she were asking it herself as well. What was my talent that allowed me to attend this academy? The answer was a question was simple. Kyoko, you're the ultimate detective. That answer marked the turning point for both girls. Thank you. I have a better understanding of the situation now. Kyoko slowly raised her head and presented a theory. If my memory loss wasn't coincidence, then your group has the ability to erase people's memories. Within that mind, if we take into consideration the situation that unfolded in the gym earlier, I can only come to one possibility. Possibility? Yes. What he said to Byakuya when he thought you were taking Kyoko hostage, you claimed that they met 2 years ago. It's possible that might actually be true. The fact that Makoto called out Makoto's name, the thing that Makoto confirmed and denied, Genocide Jack's outlandish claims, the key factors that Kyoko noted using her special observation skills were converging in her mind to form one answer. It's possible that Byakuya and Toko's memories were erased like mine, but they don't think their circumstances are quite the same as mine. But if our memories are being controlled so freely, it calls into question whether the day Monokuma appeared was really the same day we entered the academy. Like you said, it's possible that we've known Toko Fukawa for the last 2 years. What do you mean? Oh, sorry.
What do you mean?
Chihiro cried, still working on connecting her laptop to Monokuma's parts. Kyoko continued speaking to both Ichiro and Makoto. We thought we were simply knocked unconscious with sleeping gas the moment we arrived at the school, but it's possible that we were simply made to think that's what happened. For example, we may have already spent the last 2 years at Host Peak Academy, and our memories of the times were completely erased. It's even possible that we aren't the ultimates at all. We're just random people been implanted with 16 years worth of false memories. Though Kyoko's claim sounded ridiculous, her face was completely serious. She looked at Makoto once again, which means I'm considering the possibility that your crazy story is actually the truth. Kyoko's declaration filled the room with silence, but she didn't let the silence overwhelm her. Kyoko cut through it with her own words. Without evidence, all I can do is make hypotheses. That's why I want to hear what you have to say, Makoto. I have no intention of blindly believing. what you have to say, or what that self-proclaimed hacker who took over Monokuma said. She paused and lowered her eyes again, and declared a powerful determination. Even so, I intend to come to a conclusion as fairly and objectively as I can. But I can only do that if you trust me and tell me the truth. Kyoko's conviction was clear from her voice. Makoto's eyes narrowed slightly, and the tapestry of emotions flashed across her face as she looked towards Kyoko. When she opened her mouth, her expression and voice were completely devoid of emotion. That's right. I completely forgot. You were like that. Makoto repeated to herself softly and then faced Kyoko and declared, that must be why Junko took care to erase more of your memories compared to the others. Very well. I'll tell you everything. After Makoto placed Makoto onto the bed, she began to mechanically tell a story. The story of a girl who wanted to fill the world with despair. A girl who only felt truly happy when she was filled with despair herself. A plan for despair that began 2 years, or perhaps even earlier than that. Or how the world was currently ruled by despair itself. Makoto provided a brief summary of everything she knew about the plan. That's why it sounded even more outrageous than Kyoko had expected. And through her story, Kyoko was able to learn the truth about herself. Who she was and why she came to the academy. The fate of the academy's real headmaster, Kyoko's father. As she listened to Makoto's story, Kyoko remained silent the whole time. Her face went blank when she learned if her father had died. Perhaps the memory loss and absurdity of the situation helped lessen the impact somewhat. But there was no guarantee Kyoko would ever believe her story. After Makoto finished speaking, Kyoko stayed silent, which, with her unraveled mental prowess, she was able to listen to Makoto's story without interrupting her or dismissing it as nonsense. Makoto continued, You don't have to believe me. After all, any pictures that could prove my story are with Junko. All I can do is talk. After she said that, Makoto silently walked towards the entrance of the nurse's office. When she arrived at the door, she spoke again without looking back. But even if you don't believe me, you still listen to everything I had to say. So, Kyoko, Chihiro, thank you. After apologizing in such a strange tone of voice, she turned back to the bed where Makoto lay breathing weakly. Make sure Makoto stays rested. When he wakes up, make sure you give him sports drinks from the dining hall or a supply room to drink. Please. Of course, but what are you gonna do now? Kyoko asked. Makoto straightened herself up. Despair. Huh? I need to make Junko feel despair. Makoto continued mumbling to herself as she opened the door. There's nothing else I can do. No, there is something you can do. Huh? Makoto stopped walking as Kyoko spoke firmly. Regardless of whether Monokuma is really Junko Oshima or Bashiki Madarai, if you really deal with him, you won't be able to lay a finger on Makoto. He won't be able to lay a finger on Makoto. I don't fully trust you, but if you're really concerned about Makoto's life, I'm willing to work with you. Unlike Bashiki, who's probably abandoned him already. Right? I'm sorry. I don't really work well with others. Makoto looked away and then bowed her head as she left the nurse's office. But I'll do my best. The door closed and Makoto was gone. I'm sorry for involving you in something dangerous, Chihiro. As she continued to organize the vast amount of information that Makoto was giving her, Kyoko turned to Chihiro, who was still working on Monokuma. As she trembled with fear, Chihiro looked slowly back at Kyoko.
Kyoko?
About what Makoto said just now? Kyoko's face turned pale as she struggled with her words, and Kyoko tried to calm her down. We can't determine anything if she told us was true or not. There's no need to be afraid. But Chihiro... Oh, sorry, that was the wrong voice. Chihiro shook her head and returned to her laptop. I think she's telling the truth. What are you basing that on?
Well, it looks like Monokuma's really being controlled from the outside. Part of Monokuma's system has been connected to
Chihiro's. I'm sorry. I keep doing this. I apologize. If you guys don't believe me, you should see what me and my friend Yuki used to be reading Kingdom Hearts fanfics. How bad that was. Oh boy. Part of Monokuma's systems have been connected to Chihiro's laptop, and she was analyzing the data within the control system. And it was then that the ultimate programmer noticed something unusual about it.
This control program, I thought it would be another year before the system finally became operational.
Chihiro started trembling so much that she was unable to continue speaking. We can't confirm that, said Kyoko, proposing another possibility to avoid jumping to conclusions. It's possible that a similar program is being developed in secret. But Chihiro admittedly shook her head and said,
No, that's not it. It's just looks really familiar to me.
Kyoko looked over to Chihiro's trembling shoulders, peered at the screen, and that's when she noticed. This program. Chihiro, did you create this? The ultimate programmer could do was nod weakly. Oh my, what? First floor main hall. Mokuro continued to move forward and was fortunate enough not to encounter Sakura Amando. With no interference from anyone else, she made her way to the hall as large as the gym and stood before the sealed main entrance. Suddenly, Monokuma popped out from the shadows to block her path. Within that hall resembled a nuclear bomb shelter, replete with all the... I feel like that was spelled wrong. I don't even know if the word replete is real, but okay. Replete with all the manner of a heavy machinery. Monokuma's silhouette was conspicuously out of place here. His laughter rang through the hall as he wiggled his body from side to side. What were you doing at the nurse's office? Did you eliminate your rival for Makoto's affection? Or did you help play matchmaker instead? Either way, don't you think it's kind of adorable to put Makoto and Kyoko in the same situation together? If it were a suspense film, those two would totally be the last couple standing. But if it were a horror film, they'd just die anyways. The killer is always alive. Was alive all along. Splat goes the blood, plop goes the meat. I'm a huge fan of endings where the characters think they're finally gonna live, but they really headed to a final detonation. Wait, what the hell is an ination? What does that even mean? Despite Monokuma's angry complaints, Makoto remained unperturbed. Cannot speak, I apologize. I'm awful at English. She continued to stare icy daggers at Monokuma as if she was waiting for him to finish speaking. Well, anyways, I'm just so sad right now. A regulation-breaking delinquent is disrupting the harmony of this peaceful academy. I can't even keep one of my students from running wild. Time to say goodbye to your incompetent headmaster. I'm gonna use the Monokuma evolution to become a big Magnum headmaster and mold you into a decent human. Or student. Wow, that was interesting. Okay. As soon as he said that, Monokuma extended his claws and waddled towards Makoto. So if I'm gonna mold you, then I'm gotta kill you first! Right as he finished speaking, Monokuma suddenly violently charged at Mukuro like a spiked volleyball. Mukuro was fast and dodged Monokuma's attack. She jumped back, keeping her distance from Monokuma just in case his claws could extend even longer. And a shadowy figure appeared next to her. Mukuro twisted her body to its limits and just narrowly evaded the figure's attack. When she landed on the floor, she immediately saw... So what does the immortal killer want anyway? Are you gonna tell the others the truth and escape with it? Even though you know the outside world, what the outside world is like right now? Two Monokumas were speaking in unison. Okay, that's what those two mean. I was confused. Two Monokumas were speaking in unison to Mukuro in unison. Honestly, I don't mind if you do that. I can just imagine the look on everyone's face whenever they discover the truth. It fills me with such heart-throbbing excitement. The two Monokumas continued to speak in stereo sound. Billy Ann, put some stereo sound in there. Why don't you? You said you destroyed my plans, but there's no happy ending waiting for you, no matter which route you take. And you only have yourself to blame for that. Don't tell me you thought they'd be grateful for you. Even if you guys escape here, do you think they'll still forgive you when they get a whiff of that nasty air outside? Some of them might prefer to stay in the school, and some of them might resent you for being kind and showing them the truth. But then again, this is your fault anyways, it doesn't matter what they think of you. Monokuma made a little mistake. Despite facing down two Monokumas, Makoto's expression didn't waver. She understood that controlling two Monokumas simultaneously was a piece of cake for Junko. Makoto drew an arm's-length metal bar from seemingly nowhere and readied herself. Where the fuck did she get that from? It was the remains of the IV stand from the nurse's office, sharpened into a pointed weapon. Oh. So that's what she was doing. Okay. With her weapon in hand, Makoto responded in cold, mechanical tone. Well, that's fine. I'm already used to that. No, none of the fear that she felt that Monokuma suggested that Makoto would blame her appeared on her face. Her path was clear to her now, and she calmly issued her demand to Monokuma. Junko, open the gates. A shock of sudden straightforward demand left both Monokumas momentarily speechless, but soon they replied, Huh? Why? So we can all leave together. Another straightforward answer. Both Monokumas faced each other and began gesturing as if they were speaking to one another. Makoto knew their movements were intended to mock her. Unmoved, she continued to speak to Junko directly. I think they'll understand if I show them the outside world. And then they'll stop doubting Makoto. You always find a new way to disappoint me, Makoto. Did you forget why the school had an air filtration system? It's true, the air outside is polluted, but I don't think it'll kill us immediately. Besides, it's better than being trapped in a school that's forced to kill each other. How can you be so sure that the others will go along with you? You know what I mean, right? Before the former headmaster got turned into space dust, he interviewed the others and they all agreed that they would stay inside the school. That was before their memories had even been erased. Why do you want to betray their wishes? The girl blinked and then slowly stepped forward. I don't really care about their feelings. Huh? You're all I need, Junko. So don't worry. I'm always watching out for you. I'm gonna make you feel sure you feel despair, and I'm gonna make Makoto and the others happy. If you want to revel in your own despair that badly, then I'll trust the hope that Makoto gave me and take my chances with them instead of you. Makoto's brief but powerful words caused my other Monokumas to turn and talk to each other again. Oh my, this doesn't look good at all, Monokuma A. This child doesn't realize her own hypocrisy. She's so disappointing that she's starting to reach critical mass, right, Monokuma B? The two Monokumas looked at Makoto, who seemed ready to destroy them, and said, What do you think, Monokuma C? Huh? Makoto was taken aback by their question, but her instinct suddenly kicked in and she immediately dodged away. At that moment, a third Monokuma's claws extended past where her head had been previously. The new Monokuma unit landed with several spins, faced Makoto, who had clung to remains of a surveillance camera still attached to the ceiling. I agree with you both, A and B. Three Monokumas lined themselves up. To the students locked inside the academy, the sight would have been akin to a nightmare. Right on! The three units began speaking in perfect harmony as their 6 eyes looked upon Makoto. Suddenly, they each jumped away in 3 separate directions and kicked one off the walls. The path of each unit's triangular attack was all converged at a single point, Makoto, who was still clinging to the ceiling. Oh my, this is getting real. She was surrounded by razor-sharp claws coming at her from different directions. But the situation wasn't even a nightmare for Makoto. Compared to the time she fended off 3 assassins who had invaded her camp one night when she was still a member of Fangirl, this was nothing. The thought crossed Makoto's mind as she dangled from the ceiling with one hand and thrashed her limbs like a tornado. Intercepted by this move, the Monokumas fell to the floor with a loud crash. Makoto I don't know why people are all I gotta turn my phone off. I've been doing this all day, I apologize. Makoto landed on the ground, chased one after another of them, brandishing a metal bar. Suddenly, she stopped moving and took a huge leap forward. One of the Monokumas exploded with a deafening roar. He detonated the bomb inside himself and attempted to take down Makoto with him. But thanks to her home battlefield's instincts, Makoto managed to avoid the explosion. She looked towards the hallway, expecting the explosion to have attracted the attention of Sakura and the others. But she didn't hear any footsteps approaching. Monokuma's voice rang from the dense smoke. Oh, you don't have to worry. I already told the other students to assemble in the cafeteria. They were eager to follow my orders after I told them I disarmed the poison gas, and especially the police unit was coming to get them. I'm pretty sure Kyoko and the others are in the cafeteria by now. I'm pretty sure Makoto's with them too. I doubt Sakura will get too rough with him, but I'm sure Byakuya will torture Makoto once he wakes up. I can just imagine him rubbing salt or pouring soy sauce in his open wounds. Man, I'm getting all hot and bothered right now. Listening to Monokuma's overlapping voices, Makoto tilted her head slightly and asked, I'm pretty sure they're gonna find out you lied about that special police unit. Are you really okay with that? No worries. Once I've dealt with you, I don't care if they find out that I was lying. Huh? You still don't get it? You're such a disappointment. Suddenly dawned on Makoto. Not the reason that Monokuma didn't care if the students found out he lied, but rather the voices of the Monokumas that were in the smoke were gradually increasing in number. As the smoke started to clear, the shadows of 3 Monokumas appeared. The one exploded couldn't have revived, so one new one must have taken its place. But there was no way Makoto only heard 3 Monokumas just talking right now. This is a proof her hearing had been accurate. The Monokumas suddenly made their move. 3 Monokumas bent over and began twirling their upper bodies. From behind them, new Monokumas emerged like after images brought to life. Wow. Scary thoughts! The second row of Monokumas mimicked the earlier ones with the 1 frame of delay, revealing even more Monokumas behind them. Fuck. How many Monokumas are in this building? Oh my gosh. Eventually, Makoto realized that there were 3 rows containing 10 Monokumas. Oh my god. Did you really call this did you know you can call this a circle dance? Makoto's 30 voices spoke in perfect harmony as they divulged information that had nothing to do with the current situation. I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna do this post-editing. Makoto already knew that multiple Monokumas were positioned throughout the academy. Only Junko knew how many Monokumas there actually existed. Makoto had no way of knowing these 30 Monokumas were part of a larger contingent. Sorry, I lost that word. The flock of two-tone teddy bears continued to twirl around. Makoto felt like she was being bombarded with hypnotic images. But facing these abnormal sights, the ultimate soldier remained calm and maintained her focus. She was nothing like the girl who had panicked earlier in the gym when Makoto was impaled. As she stood before 30 emissaries of despair, she slowed her breathing and allowed her heart rate to accelerate. This was instinct, not fear, not panic. It set her blood racing through her body, speeding up the reaction time of her cells. As her senses sharpened, the Monokumas began speaking to her again. Don't worry, I'll make sure Makoto doesn't die. Huh? As long as everyone here lives, I can reset their memories as many times as I want. That's right, all your effort, hope, dreams, and determination are going right in the garbage heap. Monokumas took turns speaking in groups of 10. As if the mastermind controlling the Monokumas wanted to show off her ability to manipulate them. However, the ultimate soldier knew the purpose behind it all was. She strained her ears to their limit to notice the certain sound of hidden among the Monokuma's voices. Makoto's face remained perfectly still as she kicked off the floor. The moment she moved to the side, and a roaring sound shook the entrance hall. The ceiling-mounted turrets in front of the gates started raining bullets down on Makoto. The Monokumas were just the mastermind's decoy while she tried to blow her away. As if further trapping her, the Monokumas charged at Makoto through storm of bullets. Wow. I wish this scene was animated. Holy shit, I want to see what's going on. Makoto guessed that the mastermind programmed their movements in advance so that they wouldn't get hit by a single bullet. She ran for the gates, evading the waves of bullets and claws every step of the way. I cannot speak properly, I apologize. Programming 30 Monokumas and 2 turrets while predicting Makoto's escape route. This would be considered impossible for anyone, but Makoto knew it was possible for Junko. How? His ultimate despair, she possesses despair-inducing abilities that surpass the capabilities of any normal human. Her display of power was only fulfilling Makoto with despair. Despair. The scene played out in front of her. There were motorcycles passing by. Oh my gosh. The adorably deadly Monokumas laughed and danced like reapers as bullets whizzed through the air. It was despair to the point of absurdity. It was all from Makoto. But in the presence of such despair, Makoto felt a strange serenity. For me? Junko's doing all this for me? Junko, are you watching me right now? In the end, perhaps Makoto was really a disappointment. She clenched her fist. Junko, thank you. The sound of gunfire shattered her whispers, and Makoto fell completely silent. As a member of the ultimate despair, Makoto's heart was filled with joy. Even though she was filled with emotion, her eyes had lost their sparkle. Silence filled the air. Even the gunfire from the turrets seemed to stop for a moment. But it was only illusion to the one controlling Monokuma. Something strong enough to silence the gunfire and avoid being picked up by the sensors spread through the school with Makoto at the center. I'll make sure I do this right. With that final thought, she closed her mouth and turned off her emotions. As she ran through the waves of scorching bullets in the air around her began to grow colder. As this coolness spread into her heart, it began to beat in a mechanical fashion. Several seconds later, Makoto's body and mind melded together and became one with her surroundings. Her temperature now dominated the battlefield. Despair, bullets, and Monokuma filled the area. Makoto predicted their movements and jumped into the air without any hesitation. One of the Monokumas jumped at her, but she avoided his attack, kicked his body, and launched herself in midair. Bullets pierced through the space Makoto was previously occupying, striking the falling Monokuma right into its internal bomb. The impact of the bullets caused it to explode, sending fiery Monokuma parts everywhere. She rode the blast wave. Makoto balanced herself in midair as she kicked away three Monokumas that leapt after her. She moved so gracefully she was practically flying. In contrast, the Monokumas threw themselves into the path of oncoming bullets, exploding one after another. Some of them exploded near the main entrance, but the blast didn't even leave a scratch. Full control over the entrance hall, Makoto evaded bullets and confirmed that the bomb inside the Monokumas weren't enough to destroy the door. But she refused to stop. Makoto needed to get information on what she must do to escape the academy. She had no desire to kill Junko. Makoto wanted to fill Junko with despair by installing hope into the future of Makoto and the other students. That was Makoto's ultimate goal. Get information. In contrast to her determination, her mouth stayed shut, but this did not mean Makoto was not currently speaking to Junko. In this situation, this battle of death and destruction was a conversation of sorts for Makoto, as all she knew how to do was fight. She thought she wasn't interested in anything else. She thought she didn't need anything else. All Makoto needed was to be a sword to fulfill her sister's desire for despair. That purpose alone was the crutch of her. I don't know what that word is. Crush. I don't know. And she lived her entire life convincing herself that she couldn't do anything else. That's why power like this was a language to Makoto. This battle to the death revealed more about her heart than mere words could. Her words were wind of savagery that blow across the battlefield, uprooting others who also speak the language of violence. It was true that if that was true even against her sister. When Junko would berate her sister, Makoto couldn't talk back. All she could do was cower and apologize profusely. But it was different now. For the first time, Junko was using a language that her sister actually recognized. The child of despair who tore the world apart was speaking to her sister with the language of power. Mukoto's heart filled with joy. For that reason, she strengthened her focus on her conversation with Junko, and the emotions began to gradually disappear. On the frigid battlefield, Mukoto continued to heated conversation. Endless rounds of bullets fired from the school's turrets. Mukoto's words intercepted every last violent shot that threatened to shatter her body and mind in half. She quickly recognized the Monokumas hadn't decreased in numbers at all, no matter how many she kept destroying. Not only that, she had noticed more Monokumas had been joining the fray until there were nearly 50 of them for Mukoto to fight. But Mukoto's resolve wouldn't break so easily. As she continued to wield her power, her heart began to fill with something that was neither hope nor despair. She learned that despair from being abandoned by Junko, and she learned from hope of her acts of violence. Mukoto, who had no interest in this world, this small space in front of the gate was a reflection of her life, a representation of her perfect world. This disappearing girl, filled with an endless disappointment, who knew no other way to live, continued her lonely dance. She surrendered herself to the rhythm of despair, which accompanies the music of hope. Wow. It's like a fucking, oh my gosh. It's like a poem. Like, this whole thing is like a fucking poem. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Ugh. I am getting a headache. Shouldn't be this tired. I got plenty of sleep last night. Come on, open. I shouldn't be sleepy. I just finished a monster and it's like 9 o'clock at night. Almost 10 o'clock at night. Took some Advil. I feel better. Okay. Computer room's innermost area. Monokuma room. How much time had passed? Surveillance cameras at the gate were capturing footage of countless Monokumas falling at the hands of the child who fought like a raging demon. The Monokumas boistered their numbers. Now 100 of them were trying to sink their claws into Mukoto. Most of them were running on autopilot, reacting to her movements based on prior information they had received in advance. But despite standing before hundreds of mechanical adversaries, Mukoto's face showed no fear. She hadn't sustained a single injury, giving her a presence that was nearly divine to behold. Though Sakura Ogami was powerful enough to injure her arm, Mukoto in her current state could potentially fight Sakura in a draw now without relying on firearms. She took complete control of the battlefield, taking in her surroundings as if they were part of herself. She dodged attacks from the rear as though she had eyes on the back of her head and stabbed through Monokuma's weak points with her metal bar. No matter where the attacks came from, Mukoto deflected them as if her skin were covered in eyes. Wow, that's a very interesting image. Describing her as ultimate no longer did her justice. Mukoto had transcended the boundaries of humanity and become a pure killing machine. But despite that, even though she'd understood the ludicrous power of her sister possessed, Junko was not afraid. She had not felt one iota. They're using a lot of words I don't know. It's really weird because I love English. She felt no iota of fear. After all, all Junko can feel is despair. And she started to admire her sister's attempts to fill her with despair, but that sentiment quickly filled Junko with an organistic ecstasy of despair. Junko knew. She knew that Mukoto was neither hope nor despair. She was just a phenomenon. A disappointing girl who no longer understood herself because she only knew how to be violent because it was all she could believe in anymore. Mukoto had become an avatar of destruction beyond that of any military force. She couldn't even be considered a soldier anymore. She was a natural disaster, like a typhoon or a tornado. Or perhaps like gravity. She was now a fundamental force of the universe that only existed to bring despair to Junko. The mastermind enjoyed watching her sister go all out. If Mukoto destroyed everything and ruined her life, Junko would still be comforted by the despair. She could just go right ahead and overpower her. Junko considered this for a few seconds until a familiar hopeless habit reared its head. Her habit of getting bored it made her sick. The girl who had been grinning the whole time she watched the screen now bore a look of calm stoicism that she reached for the microphone connected to the Monokuma speakers. Mukoto was no longer human anymore, but Junko knew how to bring her back. It was a simple feeling, really. And with that, the hopeless feeling from Mukoto in mind, the mastermind just said one word. Mukoto? In front of the main entrance, Mukoto. That voice was calling her name. Instead of using Monokuma's voice filter, Junko's natural voice was coming out of the Monokuma unit. That's all it took. With one word, Mukoto Kusaba stopped being a force of nature and became a person again. Monokuma would not miss this opportunity. As if moving to the beat of Makoto's shaking heart, the torn claws leapt to attack her, but Makoto trusted her instincts and twisted her entire body to fend off the attacks, leaving her with only a few scrapes here and there. But the despair wasn't over yet. The ultimate despair didn't waste any time making her next move. "Makoto, watch out!" Huh? As soon as Makoto heard that voice, her mind went completely blank. There's no mistaking it. That was Makoto's scream. The scream that saved her from spears of Gunyear and changed her destiny. No, that's wrong. It took her a tenth of a second to realize that the voice was just a sound clip that Junko had replayed, but it was no more enough than to drag Makoto, who had regained her humanity, into despair. Right when she had recovered from her moment of shock, Monokuma appeared behind her and roundhouse kicked her into in the temple. Oh, God. Twisted her head to roll to the blow, but at that moment, a different Monokuma attacked her from the opposite side with a headbutt. As soon as Makoto dodged that attack, 3 Monokumas launched simultaneous drop kicks and knocked her to the ground. The fact that they weren't using their claws meant they weren't trying to kill Makoto right away. Before she could stand up again, a dozen Monokumas waiting for her on the floor climbed on top of Makoto and pinned her limbs. One of the Monokumas waddled over to Makoto as she lay face down on the floor and laughed. A pretty girl getting pinned by all these me's. I wonder if I should feel more excited about this. Don't make that face. If I wanted to kill you, I'd just pump you full of bullets right now. But I don't think the audience on TV would like that ending very much. I need to make sure I do it right away this time. What are you planning to do to me? Makoto asked her in her emotionless voice. Monokuma guffawed and answered, "Nothing. I'm just gonna stick to the original plan and make you play out the killing game at this school. I'll erase everyone's memories again, and I'll just make him redo the introduction and the entrance ceremony again." In typical Monokuma fashion, he leaned his face towards Makoto. "But it'd be boring if we had to redo everything. Maybe this time I'll have you participate as Makoto Ikusaba. I'll take away even more of your memories like I did to that irritating detective girl. All you'll do is be the poor little girl with no memory at all." As Monokuma twisted and wiggled his body from side to side, the other Monokumas danced and twirled around. Amid the fantastical scene, Monokuma continued to describe his hopeless plan in a nonchalant manner. "At first, you'll be the girl with amnesia, and everyone will feel sorry for you. But as they unravel the mystery of this academy, they'll find out who you really are. It's exciting to think that how they'll treat you when that happens. Knowing you'll probably kill someone purely on instinct. Maybe I should try rethinking my rules about self-defense." You can't. Her memories would be erased. There's nothing more she could do with her classmates hating her. But losing even her childhood memories would mean her connection to Junko would be severed as well. Even if Makoto had no interest in this world, that was even unbearable for her. I've heard of the New Game Plus before, but this is the first time I've heard... Oh, sorry. I'll do this again. I've heard of a New Game Plus before, but this is the first time I'll see a New Game Minus. Should I tie you up for fun? Or maybe I should make the game even more masochistic. Forget hard mode, very hard mode, and inferno mode. I want to skip ahead to impossible mode. Maybe I'll erase your memories after I drag you on a motorcycle, pummeling you with 1,000 baseballs, burning you at the stake, crushing you with an excavator. Oh, jeez. Oh, man. Makoto knew what Monokuma was talking about. He was describing the tools they prepared for various executions they had planned for the students. After reintroducing themselves, they'd walk around the school grounds with everyone... Sorry. Try that again. After everyone introduces themselves, they'll walk around the school grounds and eventually find a flat-chested girl with amnesia, covered in bandages with a Fenrir tattoo on her right hand. I bet a certain fan base might get off on that. If this were a game, that would increase sales about 500%! Though Monokuma sounded like he was joking, everything he said was deadly serious. I wonder how that would work, in sales-wise. As evidence, Makoto heard a rumbling sound out in the distance. Now then, your sweet little ride is on its way! Based on the engine's noise, Makoto surmised that was the large motorcycle that was supposed to be used for one of the executions. And if we all know everything right, that's Mondo's execution. I took the time to bring all this away from the punishment room, so you better be grateful! The sound of a roaring engine grew closer and louder, like the approaching footsteps of death. Makoto wondered how Monokuma would drive it with such tiny arms and legs, but then she remembered she was dealing with an ultimate despair. Junko would make it the impossible possible just to bring about despair. A despair that went hand in hand with Makoto's fate. Did I fail? I couldn't fill Junko with despair? I couldn't save Makoto and the others? Questions raced through Makoto's mind, but she wasn't able to answer them. There's no way she could have answered them so easily. After all, she was still alive. The sound of a motorcycle grew closer and closer as if threatening to break Makoto's spirit. Suddenly, Monokuma stopped moving. The other Monokumas continued doing their automatic movements. and the strange event unfolded, Makoto noticed something. The motorcycle had suddenly gone quiet. After a few seconds, the engine exploded to life and began to approach even faster than before. Only a few seconds later, it appeared in front of the main entrance was an enormous motorcycle that was plowing through groups of Monokumas like a huge predator hunting its prey. The rider of this motorcycle was none other than Mondo Wada. Yes! Huh? Mukuro and Monokuma were both physically shocked by the turn of events. Instead of addressing them, Mondo accelerated the motorcycle he stole from Monokuma directly towards the Mukuro. Just before the front of the tire touched Mukuro, he popped in reverse wheelie and turned the entire motorcycle around. The back wheel swept off Mukuro's back, knocking away the Monokumas that were pinning her. "Hey, can you stand?" Mondo asked and begrudgingly offered his hand to Mukuro. Huh? Confusingly, Mukuro took his hand and stood up. "What are you doing, Mondo? I was so close." One of the Monokumas... Oh, sorry, wrong one. "What are you doing, Mondo? I was so close!" One of the Monokumas protested. Not in its normal boast, but as the hacker, Bashiki Madai. "Oh yeah, you're Bashiki or whatever, right?" "That's right! Why are you helping a terrorist?" "I ain't bragging about this or anything, but I have no clue if you or this girl is lying." The veins of the temple began to bulge and his cheeks flushed with anger as Mondo said, "But still, I ain't the type to stand around and watch some idiot gangs up on a girl." "What are you saying? Get a hold of yourself!" "You must be experiencing Stockholm Syndrome. You deluded yourself to thinking you're friends with the criminals taking you hostage." Monokuma tried to explain to Mondo, but he ignored him and took Mukuro's hand and pulled her onto the back of the motorcycle. "Oh, shut the fuck up. I don't know nothing about your Stockholms or syndromes, but don't go acting like you can boss me around." Can I just pat Mondo on the head and go, "It's okay, boy. It's okay." As Mondo shouted, he revved the motorcycle as if he was using to punctuate his words. The ceiling-mounted turrets began moving, but the two disappeared before the turrets could take aim at the motorcycle. As they zoomed through the halls, countless Monokumas chased after them, waving their claws wildly in the air. "Why?" Mondo asked. "Huh?" Mondo shouted. His voice is even louder at the sound of the engine. "Don't get the wrong idea. I don't trust you at all." His voice lowered slightly. He lowered his voice slightly as if he were whispering to himself. "But still, I don't know, but I felt like I could trust what he said." "He?" inquired Mukuro, but there was no time for questions. The unit leading the Monokumas chasing after the motorcycle had almost caught up to them. And then, like the enormous maws of some fearsome creature, they brandished their claws in perfect unison. At that moment, the motorcycle zoomed by a certain girl. A girl whose fighting ability surpassed that of a normal human. The strongest girl on Earth. With fighting spirit that defied the comprehension, the ultimate martial arts kicked off the floor. A sound louder than the motorcycle's engine filled the room. When Mukuro looked back, she saw Sakura landing on the floor, sending packs of Monokumas flying several meters away. "Sakura?" She heard If she heard Mukuro mumble her name, Sakura didn't acknowledge it. Like a statue of fearsome king god, she calmed her breathing as she stood before the packs of Monokumas ready for battle. "Your pursuit methods seem to be unbecoming for one who claims to be the ultimate hacker." Her overpowering aura seeped from her skin, and her skin shimmered with an intense heat beginning to fill the hallway. Unlike the power of Mukuro's sheer violence, this was the power of martial arts. Mukuro froze the air around her in time with it, but Sakura was generating enough heat to boil space itself as she stood before the Monokumas. With the heat stinging her back, Mukuro looked ahead. Fumi and Chihiro cautiously peeked from behind the door leading to the dorms, while Aoi and Tako were watching from inside the building. After passing them by, Mondo slowed down the motorcycle as he reached the front of the cafeteria and turned it into a complete stop. The other students looked wary of Mukuro, but among these students, Mukuro noticed two people who weren't regarding her with suspicion. One was Kyoko, who seemed to be studying the situation. The other was a skinny boy who was leaning against Kyoko's shoulder. "Makoto?" Mukuro's lips began to tremble as she sat on the back of the motorcycle. Ignoring the pain coursing through his body, Makoto smiled at Mukuro and repeated what he said to her earlier. I'm glad you're safe, Mukuro." Unfortunately, Mukuro was unable to realize her hope of filling her little sister with despair. Instead, she had successfully planted the seeds of hope into her fellow students. Wow. This is awesome. Makoto was barely regained consciousness when Mukuro was fighting the hordes of Monokumas at the main entrance. When he woke up, he did something extremely simple. He talked about his memories. Most of the students were still skeptical even after listening to Mukuro's recorded confession on Chihiro's laptop. Obviously, they were still not entirely convinced when Makoto woke up, but after Sakura asked him a certain question, the ambience completely changed. then beyond the walls of this school, the world is completely destroyed. You're saying there's no one else alive? Makoto slowly sat up to answer Sakura's meek question. Don't worry. I'm sure Kenshiro is still alive. I'm sure he's still keeping his promise to you. Sakura gasped. Kenshiro was the only man she couldn't defeat. A man who had promised her a rematch, and the one who made other promises as well. We didn't actually find that out. But I know who Kenshiro is. I did some research. How'd you know that name? How'd you know about that promise? Because you told me. No. Makoto slowly corrected himself. You told all of us. Sakura was silent after hearing those words, but then she faced the other students and spoke in a loud, clear voice. I'm going to trust Makoto. Sakura? Although Aoi's was shocked, Sakura continued to speak with determination. What Makoto just said is something I kept locked away inside my memories. In fact, I was planning to keep it secret until the day I died. But if I share that secret, that means there's once a strong bond between Makoto, myself, and with my fellow students as well. Makoto continued to talk in a gentle tone. That couldn't have been good for his health. He continued to slowly talk about his memories, but the other students no longer had. Why? Oh my gosh. Oh, okay.
Why do you know about the story I'm planning to write? Are you a specialist and user who can predict the future?
You already finished that story for me. You had me help you with inking.
Wait a sec!
Wait, what? What was that about the girl related to the Kuzuryu clan? I didn't read that! Okay, I'm confused. These ones were excruciating, but even so, Makoto kept smiling and talking about their lives together. I hope you guys saw that, because apparently that was a good throwback to the other game. Oh my! Everything is coming together. As if his duty was now that he had regained his memories. As the other students listened to him, they slowly began to realize something. The vivid accounts that he was providing could not have been explained by just passing knowledge. Clearly some kind of bond between them had been erased. Only Byakuya remained cynical. There's no way I would grow any closer to any of you. It's like you're all secretly working together. Though Byakuya is still hostile towards Makoto's recollection of their memories, for the time being he was determined that Makoto wasn't actually a terrorist. Makoto had bought enough time for Makoto to wake up and share his memories with the others. Even if she hadn't intended to do that, she was still a small sliver of hope that she was grasped tightly. Oh my gosh, but anyways, we're gonna cut the episode off here real quick. I'm not sure how much more we got of this, but we'll find out soon enough. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Please like, comment, subscribe for more videos like this every other day. See you guys later. Bye-bye.